Hey, everybody, and welcome back to episode 9 of The Overlay. Do you remember when he started the vlogs and I counted them down like 10, 7, 5, and I did it every single time? At what point do we continue to just not name the number of episode that we're on?
I think we go forever.
Really? Just every episode opens with episode whatever it is?
Correct.
Well, this is episode...
Hopefully we get to episode 141, but right now we're on episode 9, correct?
Yeah, episode 9. This is the same number of Star Wars movies, episode 9. So
I've seen 0 Star Wars movies.
Yeah, that's insane to me. All right, episode 9, we're going to talk all about, let me see if I can remember it all. Bankroll management. Variance.
Yep.
And Downswings?
Correct. Ding, ding, ding. Trifecta. Trifecta of problems that poker players run into.
And I mean, and that's... where would you rank yourself on the scale of, poker professional all the way down to...
Like a 10 being a pro and a 1 being like recreational for fun?
Well, where do I rank? Because I'm definitely the opposite side of the spectrum.
I would say you're like a 4.
4.
Yeah, like you definitely...
There's times where I play seriously, but most of the time I'm just doing this to goof off.
But even when you're playing for seriously, it's still for your own entertainment. You're not trying to, sure, you're trying to win life-changing money. Like, obviously, that's what
everybody
gets
is
you going. But, it's not like your livelihood depends on it, right?
Correct.
I mean, your bills are 100% going to be paid, whether you
if I donk this all off or not, which I have a tendency to do. I normally just dump it all off. I'm a punter.
Maybe now...
after this episode?
Maybe in quarantine, you can up it to like a 6 or 7.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I spent a lot of today checking out Masterclass from Daniel Negreanu.
Oh, that's funny.
Funny because it's awesome, or funny because that? So I will definitely do some kind of video. I thought it was cool because I had somebody sent me the masterclass, a password for it. It was where they bought the class for me, and I'm sure they got it at a discount or whatever it is, but I got a free, and I got all of them. I thought it was just going to be Daniel Negreanu's, but apparently if you're a masterclass subscriber, you just bank off every single class that they have.
Yeah, you go.
So that's kind of cool. So I'm definitely going to check that out, but I've been watching some Daniel Negreanu. I'm only in through 2 episodes. Which is the introduction, which is basically just saying how awesome Daniel Negreanu is. And then 2, they're starting to talk about poker stuff. So I will let you guys know how that goes.
To answer your question, I would say I'm an 8.
8
out of 10. 10 being professional. Because I think I'm never going to relocate based I'm never going to travel to play, which would take it a step further unless I'm going to Vegas for a Vegas trip. But and I'm also not going to relocate because poker's better somewhere else, which I feel a lot of people, that's kind of the next step. The step above me would be all right, PLO in Chicago, it's kind of meh. I'm moving to Florida.
So in the terms of local pro is what you'd kind of rank yourself as.
Correct.
Who will travel to Vegas occasionally to do stuff and plays very seriously, because you keep all of your records, you keep all of your stuff, and you even go so far as to expenses to and from the casino and tipping when you're at the casino, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I keep the tipping. Yeah. I mean, I don't keep track of food spent, but definitely trips and gas and just general expenses, because you can
treating it like a business.
Yeah, you can write that stuff off tax season too, which is a plus.
It is a plus.
So I want to dive into which one do you want to start with? Variance, bankroll management, or downswinging?
Well, why don't we define maybe all 3? So I don't know if you want to go through each. Where do you want to start?
Yeah. I mean, probably bankroll management, just because the other 2 are kind of sub-subjects of the main subject of bankroll management.
Nice. I didn't think you could say subject that many times in a sentence and
that's pretty good.
Have it make sense, but you pulled it off.
So bankroll management, I mean, this is, first of all, let's get, without taking too long, on our scale of 1 to 10 to be considerate of bankroll management, I would say you need to be a 6+ on the pro to rec scale.
And where did I land? A 4?
You're a 4. Okay. This isn't going to apply. This is obviously going to apply to you in terms of man, this game is way too big. If I lose 20,000, I can't pay my whatever. You have that, bankroll management. That's not really bankroll management. That's just common sense.
Game choice, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Game selection. Right. I mean, then and so if you move on up, you get to like a 6 or a 7, and now all of a sudden, you have your money separate. You have your poker bankroll. You have, I have all my poker money in Horseshoe chips, completely separate from my life money, which is my, what I spend on rent and what I spend on food and gas, and life expenses is in one
but
side
your poker money is different from all of that. That
my
is
poker money is completely different.
Separate area.
And that is what I define my bankroll as. So even though I have X amount of thousands of dollars total, only a portion of that is what is my poker bankroll. And when you're bankroll managing, you're managing on that money, not your total money. Whereas if you're kind of like a 2, a 3, or a 4, the money's not really separate. Even if we'll get into bankroll management later, but you're supposed to have like, about 100 tournament buy-ins to like be properly rolled for that tournament. So that being said, if you play a $300 tournament at CCG, like you're supposed to have, $30,000 as a pro to like be rolled for that tournament.
Oof.
But not like, you got to remember our regular players that come in, they don't have $30,000 separate.
So if I want to be a professional early bird player, which costs $20, I'm going to need
you should have 100 buy-ins.
$2,000.
$2,000. You're properly rolled to play the early bird.
Wow, I literally want to do a series and have somebody play the early bird as a professional and start with 2K and see how far they could go.
How many times they can make it. Yeah, that'd be kind of fun. Just like as an experiment.
Sick.
We might do maybe that. We can run it as a CCG promotion, like, win free early bird seats for a year, and then they're like our test subject, and then we do it year after year and see who
can do something.
6 months after 6 months, who can make their role last or grow it the most.
And the reason why that's a crazy subject is because we can talk about the other two parts of this episode, downswings and variance.
Yes.
So define
downswing.
Go ahead.
Would probably be a 10 buy-in or more swing downward.
Meaning you lost 10 times in a row, full max buy-in every single time you went. That's a downswing.
Correct. Or even, a downswing. Yeah, it's more like a downswing is bringing your $2,000 down to $1,600. It doesn't have to be all at once. I mean, it could be a long downswing.
I gotcha.
Lose cash, lose cash, but you're still on a downswing. Even if you're swinging up, you're on a downswing if you're going down 20 buy-ins or 20%. 20% of 2,000 is $400. So
the idea with the bankroll management is you start with a specific number, and whatever that number is, you say it should be 100 times whatever your tournament average buy-in should be.
Tournaments and 30 buy-ins for cash.
Okay, so 30 max buy-ins for cash. I mean, do you count it as a max buy-in? I mean, if you are a 100 bomber in PLO, do you typically?
No.
Okay.
It's whatever you're going to buy in for. But I just assume that you should go for the max.
Right.
You're going to need more if you're min buying.
So downswing is defined by if you are down from that original starting capital?
It's just any net down. Because, I mean, downswing. you can rip your 2,000 up to 3,000, but then rip your 3,000 down to 2,400. That's still a downer.
I got you. You're still up over time, but currently you're in a downswing, trending down.
Yes. And then, I mean, variance is just basically, the luck of the cards, the luck of timing. It is, straight up like
the probability
percentages playing out over time is probably the best definition of variance.
Because it's funny.
You can be on the good side, you can be on the bad side.
Well, because people always say, they're like, it's like an 80% chance to win there. And I'm like, that's true. And 80% is a great time to jam it in and find out when you got 80% of the time you win. But you still lose 20% of the time. One out of five times, you're going to lose.
Right.
And that's just the odds. That doesn't actually mean anything will happen. Because we've talked about this several times, that if you and I flip a quarter 5 times and all 5 times it comes up heads, the probability of it being heads the 6th time is still 50-50.
So this brings me, you just led right into it. In college, so basically this is why you have to bankroll management, because of downswings and because of variance. And like assuming that like you have your skills in check and your game is playing equal across your uppers and downers, and like, you have your game perfectly, straight, what's the word I'm looking for? You have your game perfectly in line. Like it's not going, you're not playing worse when you're on a downer. You're not playing, better when you're on an upper. Like if you're playing the same across, it's constant. If your game is constant, then, variance can really kill a bankroll, and it could really, increase your bankroll. But I mean, it really could not be your skill. It could just be the variance, which is why you need bankroll management to withstand the downers and, continue playing on. Because if you run bad at a game that you're not rolled for, you're out of money instantly. And there could be no skill. You did nothing wrong, but you're just out of money because you were improperly bankrolled, which I spent a large portion of my early 20s punting off my bankroll because I had no idea what bankroll management was and thought I was the best player in the world. And then I might be the best player in the world, but variance is still going to be variance, whether you're Daniel Negreanu or you're my 6-year-old cousin. And so with the heads or tails story, in college, I took a probability and statistics course, and my teacher was like, flip a coin, heads or tails, 10,000 times and write down all the data. Legit. That was our homework assignment. 10,000 times. So, you go TH, TH, TH. And she had a table numbered 1 to 10,000 for you to fill it all in. TH, T, 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 tails, heads, heads, heads. So anyways, she turned it in and she goes, I can bet you guys with a 99% confidence interval or whatever, statistics, I don't know. Like with a 99% certainty that I can tell you right now who made their stuff up and who actually did it. And she looked through this paper and she goes, he actually did it. She looked through this paper and he goes, made it up. She looked through and she goes, he went through this paper. She's like, you did it. And she's like, I don't care. This homework assignment is not for any grades. I just want to show you guys if I'm right. And they were like, Brandon Schweitzer, did you make it up or did you do it? And she was like, he made it up. And I'm like, you're right. I made it up. So she's like, well, how do I know how to do this? Like, how can I tell by just looking at it whether I made it up or you actually flipped a coin 10,000 times? And it's because if you flip a coin 10,000 times, there's an overwhelmingly high probability that it will come heads or tails 14 times in a row or more.
Over how long?
Over 10,000. There will be a string of 14 heads or tails in a row.
Get out.
And then get this. And she goes, anybody who made it up would never put 14 in a row.
Nobody would. It's impossible. I would never think that was a possibility or such a concrete thing to say, So
she just rips out 40 of us in the class and she's right on all 40 of us. You made it up. You told the truth. You actually did it. You made it up. You made it up. And she's just right over and over and over again. And so that just kind of shows you like the variance. Like that just shows you how big of swings variance can have. Variance can make good players seem bad. They can make bad players seem good because, the cards are just falling your way and you're riding the rush and you're thinking that you're outplaying these people, or, you're doing everything right, but you're just losing every single race, every single 80-20. And you're like, man, like I stink at this game because I'm losing, but it's just really variance. And so variance is like one of the biggest obstacles of poker because you can't control it. It's like the one thing that you have no control over. And it's tough. It's tough to deal with it, which is going full roundabout why you have to be properly rolled and you have to be able to lose 10, 12, 14, 16 buy-ins at a level and just know that you're running bad and like that it's going to turn around. And you know what? Usually if you're a decent to good player, eventually it does turn around and you right the ship and, you end up back in the positive. But all that goes out the window.
You got to be able to weather that storm, and that's the difficult thing that everybody has because it's not fun to do. It's not exciting.
No, there's nothing fun about going. Yeah, there's nothing fun about driving to the casino when you've lost 4 days in a row.
No,
and your $4,000 bankroll is now $2,000. But the key is you can't just go say, all right, well, I went $4,000 out of $2,000. Let me just buy into 510 for $2K, one double up, and I'm even. I mean, that's a mentality. It works in theory because, in theory, but it doesn't really, the execution isn't there. I mean, you're going to play better players. You're going to get it in. You might win the 50-50 and you're even great. You might lose it and then you're completely busto, got to start from scratch. It isn't worth it to take those shots when you're on downers and say, well, I lost 4 bullets at 1-3 at CCG for 1,200. Let me just go buy in the PLO for 1,000. One double up and I'm up money or I'm even, like that. That's not the mentality you need to get into if you're going to be a professional poker player.
Not if you're going to take it seriously and actually treat it like a business, because in all honesty, it would be like, oh, we had a rough sales month. Okay, I'm going to take the payroll money. I'm going to go to the casino. I'm going to put it all on black and roulette. And if we make it, everybody gets paid. And if not, I guess we just wait until next month. I mean,
right. Yeah,
you know?
right. Exactly. And this is all if you're going to, like, going back to our scale of 1 to 10, this is a 6+. If you're a 4 and, you're a car salesman and you're going to play for fun on weekends and then go back to selling cars on Monday because you're going to make another $1,500 next week, this doesn't apply to you. Go for it. Go for bust. You want to go home even so you don't have to tell your wife you lost $3,000. Sit down at PLO for $1,000 and have fun.
See what happens.
See what, 30-40% of the time you're going to run it back up to even. Sometimes you're even going to win and you're going to feel great.
And start the whole process over again next weekend.
Correct. And you know what? That's perfectly fine for those tailored players. But if you're going to take it seriously and you're going to try and run up $10,000 to $1 million, you got to do it step by step. You got to do it slow and steady, going up in stakes, starting at 1-2, $200, 30 buy-ins is what, $6,000.
Yeah.
You're going to run your 6,000 up to 30 buy-ins at 2.5, which is 500 times 30, 15,000. You got to run your 6,000 up to 15,000, then move up to 2.5. But when you go on a downer and you lose it, you're going to have to go back to 1-2. And you might take you 3, 4, 5 times of leveling down, leveling up, leveling down. And then eventually, if you're good enough, you're going to be playing 2.5 with $50,000, and you're going to say, man, maybe I can go to 5-10.
I'm going to need to start playing 5-10.
Right. And, there's shot takes, and, this is, if it's the World Series of Poker that comes twice a year in October and there's an extra big game, you might not be completely rolled for it for 30 buy-ins.
But you got to take a shot.
But you're going to go into that saying, all right, I'm going to risk 10, 12, 15% of my bankroll here. That's it. I'm going to go take a shot, try and spin it up against these guys and play, I've played 10, 20, 40 PLO with like half the money to my name, just because I'm going to run it up. They're probably going to run it twice. I'm going to get it in. Action's good. This stuff only happens once a year. That isn't what we're talking about. We're talking about a random Tuesday night in the middle of June when nothing's going on at the Horseshoe because everything's at the World Series of Poker. And you're trying to spin up your bankroll so you can pay your rent next month. You got to stay focused and bankroll manage. So that way you can ride out a downswing and take variance out of the equation
or minimize it. I guess it's never going to come out, but it's to minimize it.
Isn't. But if you take it over a long enough range, you're going to take your variance way down. And I mean, that's the whole goal, is to just make the variance be as little swingy as possible. Your upswings are 1-2%. Your downswings are 1-2% of your bankroll. Not your upswing is, man, I just increased my bankroll by 400%, or I'm out of money.
So
don't let that variance.
Yeah, well, it was something that we talked about earlier before we got on the line here. And we were talking about downswings and kind of how you play during them. And obviously, we're taking this as part of you should be playing the same game no matter if you're on a downswing or an upswing. But people do have a tendency to play different during both, correct?
Correct, yeah. And so I mean, I do it too.
Yeah, give us a little insight into that. Like, how does that?
I mean, so do you. I think, it's really tough not to.
I absolutely do, because if I'm playing PLO, and again, I appreciate the 4. I would have given myself a lower number, but I guess you're right. I do try to study the game a little bit, not to the dedication of what, I would have to do to actually become a really good player. But at times I can string it together for a little bit and things are good. And I enjoy playing the game a lot. But you're right. I'm not playing this to pay rent or whatever. I'm playing this for entertainment purposes only.
Correct. And when you lose all the money in your wallet that night,
it sucks, and I'm pissed.
It does. But you get to go home and know that
I'm not gambling with money that I cannot lose. It's like what Dave Portnoy says on the day trading guys. Like, guys, this is money that it's not that it doesn't mean anything, but it's not, I can lose this money and be okay.
Yes.
If I go to the Horseshoe and lose $2,000, am I going to be pissed? Yeah. Am I going to be worried about paying, car payments and rent and health insurance? No, that's not. Now, how many days in a row can I go without starting to worry about that? Well, I guess then you're just a degenerate, but we'll get into that in a second. But I definitely play different, and I'm only taking a very small subsection of this, is because like when I'm playing in my game, if I start out on a hot streak playing PLO, and again, I normally only play pot limit Omaha cash game. I cannot tell you the last time I played a no limit only cash game. Last time I played No Limit was in Texas, and that's because we were doing round by round, and I literally got up from the table every single time it switched back to Hold'em. I'd play my blinds, play my button, and then wait for it to get back to me, or whenever PLO switched, I'd go.
Whenever it switched.
Yeah, I can't do it. I don't have the patience for it. But anyways, when I'm playing PLO and if I buy in for, $1,000 and I run it up, I find myself playing differently. So in my mind, that's an upswing, right? Like I'm upswinging. Things are getting better. I'm up on my bankroll because it's all mini subsections of just one session rather than over time. But my thoughts are I gamble a lot harder in the sense of draws I definitely play more of because I'm like, F it, I'm up, doesn't really matter. So I can call on this straight draw, flush draw when the board's paired, even though I know this is not optimal play here, but I got a feeling. My gut tells me maybe this is okay. And then on the flip side, if I have fired 1,000 and lost, and I'm on my second bullet of 1,000, and I'm already down, so I'm in for 2K, and I only got 500 in front of me, and it's a big pot and the flop is good for me, but I'm not fully confident in it, meaning like I got an up and down straight draw and there's 2 hearts out there and I don't have any hearts, no redraws.
Very mediocre hand, something that could go both ways, but
correct.
You should lean towards folding.
I always end up folding those hands when I am losing, and when I am winning, I 100% call in those situations.
Correct.
Which is probably not optimal play.
No. And, that's just a small session. That's like
correct. It's a one-time deal.
Downswing in a session. If you expand that out to a month or something like that, it would be, and I'm guilty of it too. If I win $3,000 in a PLO game on Tuesday night and I roll back in there at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday, this first 500 doesn't quite feel like a $500 bullet when I'm in for 2,500 and I'm losing my ass. This 500 is
it's different.
Like, we're going to get in there and gamble. And, even if, you have a hand that's 25%, you go 4 ways all in pre-flop, like the odds for you are there, right? You're going to win 1 in 4 times and you're getting 4 to 1 on your money. So it's going to be break even in the long run. It's an optimal play. You end up taking that spot every single time when you're on an upswing. Because it's like, the 500 doesn't mean as much. In theory, I'm getting my $500 back in theoretical dollars, even though 75% of the time I'm losing 500. That 25% of the time I'm going to be at 2,000. I end up taking that spot every time when I'm on an upswing because it's like, let's keep the train going. I'm on an upswing. Who really cares? But that spot when I'm down on a downswing, I dread those spots. I'm like, there's no way I'm winning this. Punted another 500. It's like, there you go. Now I'm in for 3,500. And it's really the same exact spot in a huge, long, one lifelong session, but it feels different. And you should be playing those spots the exact same, whether you're on a $10,000 upper or a $10,000 downer. That spot is that spot, and you either take it all the time because you're ready to take on that variance, or you take it none of the time because you can pass up and find a better spot where you're 33% 4 ways, and now you're just printing money. But,
interesting.
So I tend to try and play through downers. If I'm on a downer, I'm going to go every single day and try and win my money back. And it's not like I'm going to try and win my money back. Like I'm going to play different. I'm going to play better. I'm going to play faster. But I'm going to grind through the hours and get through it. But now I know other people that are like, nah, I just lost 3,000 back-to-back days. I'm on a $6,000 downer. It's Tuesday. I'll see you next Monday. I'm taking the rest of the week off. Taking a mental break. If you don't have the mental capacity to play the same when you're on a $10,000 downer and you just lost it day after day after day, then don't play. Just take a break, get your mindset, maybe look at a couple of your hand histories, find new spots, but downswings aren't really the time to try and tweak your game and fix your game. If you think you have if you think you're good and you're a winning poker player overall, downswings aren't the time to nitpick your game and try something new, try something different. You should probably be chalking it up to variance because it probably is variance. Now, if you're not that good of a player and you keep losing and you're on a downswing, this is the time to maybe look at some hands and be like, hey, did I play this right, dude? Would you have done the same thing? Am I just punting here? Trying to evaluate your game. So This would be like if you're a 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1, maybe ask a buddy who's a professional and say, yo, dude, what am I doing here? Should I switch this up? Am I playing differently? But if you're a 6 through 9 or 10, don't go trying to tweak your game because you're on a downswing.
They're going to happen.
Actually,
that
right,
14 heads in a row.
Right.
The 14 heads in a row is going to happen.
Sorry,
yeah, we keep going at the exact same time.
It's fine.
The 14 heads in a row or 14 times out of 10,000 is going to happen, right? I mean, it's a statistical certainty. It is going to happen. Right. That's crazy. I think we should also test that theory. I mean, I'm not going to do it. I would probably say I'm going to do it and then still lie about the results. But that's wild that's an actual thing. I'm still stuck on the 10K flips, 14 heads in a row. But I mean, that's the idea here, right? You're saying is that, you know, if you're confident in your game and you're taking this seriously and treating it like a business and trying to take emotion out of the game, right? My emotions are very much in the game. I am in it for the emotion. I want to feel the swings. I am not as concerned about the winning or losing. It's literally the dancing of the dice in between. It's the
roller coaster of the feeling when you think a nut flush on the river.
Right. I want to feel that the nerves. I want to feel the excitement. I want to feel the depression of when
you want to stack the chips.
Right.
You want to shake your head and say "nice hand" when the guy rivers you and you don't mean it. What you really mean is
I never say yourself. That, and I always call people out when they do. And the guy's like, "Nice hand." I go, "If you really want to just tell me to go fuck myself, then just say it. Why do you have to say nice hand? At least have the stones to say GTF. Like, just do it. Just say it." You would get way more respect for me if I rivered the crap out of you and you just said, "Yeah, you know, go F yourself," and I'd be like, "All right, cool. Yeah, I deserve that. It's fine." But it's the nice hand.
Nice hand.
If you can't. I mean, that's the guy I want to river again just to see him cry one more time.
Right, you're in the game to this guy re-raised me. He's probably got aces. I got 5, 6 suited. I'm going to call him knowing that you got a good hand, and I'm going to try and bust you for all you got. You know, that's a tactic that some people use. They try to get under people's skin. And
I don't know if I go so far as to characterize myself as a player that tries to get under other people's skin.
No, but other people get under my skin too.
Oh, for sure. And I find myself, I'm going to get that guy.
But you're playing into that,
and I play badly. Matter. And there are 2 players that do it really, really well. Jerry from Charity Poker. He's a former #1 world charity poker ranking player. It's a very loose-based ranking system, but he was #1 for a short period of time. I won't say his last. We'll just say Jerry. Everybody knows Jerry. It's the fake Jerry Yang from CCG and RCG and charity poker in general. I'm sure the Horseshoe. They know him all over Chicago. But he's a perfect guy he plays. He is... I don't want to use words defensive because I respect his play greatly for this exact reason. So, Jerry, don't get mad at me till you listen to the whole thing. He is slightly obnoxious. He gets under your skin. He pisses people off. They are mad at him. He's all in on every hand. Pre-flop dart. He's straddling in a tournament. Like, what are you doing? Like, for some people, and he only plays, shouldn't say only, he typically plays the bigger buy-in stuff at charity stuff, right? So these guys, other players are kind of leveling up to get into this realm, and he's just being a goofball like it's a $20 tournament, and he doesn't care. He's drinking, going all in. But Jerry, at some point, when he builds a chip stack somewhere in the middle levels of the tournament, he like full-blown switches gears, and then he becomes a very tight, aggressive, textbook really good player, and the people don't remember that. They don't ever see that. They don't ever think of him that way. They just think, that guy's an asshole. That guy's a donkey. He has no idea what he's doing. I'm going to get him. I'm going to make sure he leaves this place knowing that I'm a better player than he is. And Jerry's just wringing his hands going, got him right where I want him every single time.
He does also a very good job of like not letting everybody else notice that he switched those gears.
You know who else does it really well?
He switched the gears. He's still talking.
Yep.
He might be talking. He's talking to every hand. He's talking trash. He's telling everybody they're bad, even though he's folded 14 hands in a row.
That nobody noticed. Right.
Because he's still Mr.
He's so good at playing that part. It's like in Ocean's 11 when they always have those cool names for like the different parts of the heist. Like, you need a Sunshine Sally and a Downer Charlie or whatever. Like they have these like funky ass names. Like he's playing a part. He is switched gears. He is in a much different mindset, and nobody else notices him doing that. And they still put zero respect into his play, and when he's raising and 3-betting and doing different things, and then he rolls over kings, and you're like, how the hell does that guy have kings there? Like, I saw him raise an hour ago with 7-6. Not even 7-6. That's too good a hand early on for Jerry. I mean, we're
5-3, son's birthday.
Jack deuce, and he's just ripping it all in, gets a call, and then it shows it. Ha 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 ha! I got Jack deuce, gotcha. And then it's like he has a way of doing that to make players, upset with him, and he really
game.
Oh, he is very good at that game. One other guy that I was thinking of that's really good at that game is Todd.
Yeah,
Todd's really good at that game as well, where it's the same principle. He's starts off like a wild man, and then people just give you zero respect, and he uses that to his advantage.
Right, and he's drinking, and everybody thinks he's drunk and smoking on break, and it's like, oh man, this guy's out of his mind.
He's drunk. He's
good at like being out of his mind, and that's when he's got you right where he wants you.
Right, because you think he's out of his mind, and he's actually playing you. Which is great. I don't have that.
No, I mean, that's not my style.
I'm not good at it. I try to be more. I'm trying to think of what my style of play is. I haven't quite. I like to be quiet, but that doesn't always work. Sometimes I'm putting on a show, having a good time. I don't really know what it is.
I'm gonna give away like my number. Literally, my biggest secret to poker right now, just because we're on this subject.
Okay.
The Brandon's all-time. Everybody be quiet. The best thing to do in poker, literally, I hope nobody listens to this at the Horseshoe, because I'll never win again. You have to make everybody think. It's basically just Jerry. You have to make everybody think that you're loose and really be tight. And it's tough. It's tough to do it. You have to show down in PLO 9-8-7 deuce with one suit for a big pot. You have to call with bad flush draws. You need to raise every single time it folds to you on the button to $15, and people are like, man, this guy raises every single button. He's raising too many hands. But I raise every time it folds on the button because I have position, and it's probably only going to go heads up or 3 ways, and the pot's probably going to be small, and it gives me an avenue to like instill in other people's minds that Brandon raised again. Man, he raises way too many hands. And Brandon just showed down an 8-high flush here, like he's really calling for 8-high flushes. And oh man, Brandon bet the flop again. But I do that in all of the small pots when I'm in position to then make my image look way different than it actually is. It's a facade. Everybody thinks that I play way too many hands and that I'm a loose cannon. And when I 3-bet and 4-bet, I can have anything and not just aces. And that's what I want them to think. I want them to be like, man, this guy could have anything. He's probably bluffing here. But I'll tell you right now, when I bet 600 on the river, I'm probably not bluffing. If I'm bluffing, it's because I got the right blockers and it's the right situation. But they don't know that because they see me play so much and so many hands and show down such crap in the world of poker. But every $2,000 pot, I got double suited kings and double suited aces,
right?
King, queen, jack,
monster
10,
hands,
and the nuts with redraws. But it doesn't matter because they can't comprehend. They can't distinguish the difference between, man, Brandon's 5 big pots, he has really good cards, and the 45 small pots, he has shit. Because it's all just, oh man, Brandon's raised the last 50 hands.
Right.
So my biggest number one goal is to make it look like I'm playing a huge range when I'm really playing a tight range. And if you can do that, which I feel like I've done a really good job of it, you all of a sudden just turn into like
a much better, more winning player.
A much better balanced player. Because even though I'm really not that balanced and I'm weighted heavily towards the nuts, I make everybody think that I could be bluffing here. 50% of the time I'm bluffing, and 50% of the time I got the nuts. Well, that's really not true. It's probably 80-20. I got the nuts, but they think it's 50-50.
Which will affect their play, and then hopefully you get calls in spots that you want to get calls, and ultimately you're going to get people to fold in spots too. Because if you're bluffing and they put you on the 50% side that you got the nuts, they give it to you. It's 2 ways to win. I like that when you told us to give yourself 2 chances to win, and that might give yourself 3 chances to win.
But if you are the exact image that you're portraying, you really got nothing. You got no leverage. I mean, if you're in it and everybody sees that you're watching YouTube and listening to your headphones and you play 1 hand an hour, like all of a sudden you're exactly what everybody thought you were. And that 1 hand an hour is probably going to be aces, and they all know that. And like, it's just not, you don't get to fool anybody. It's just you're going to play standard straight up, and it might be winning. You might win a small amount
The
of
only
money.
guys you're going to get if you're a nit and you're only playing aces double suited or kings double suited or an
You're
ace
just going to cooler the other nits.
The problem, well, it's not only that, but then you get the guys like me who like my goal is to bust that nit just because it's great to make a nit be, and then they always stomp off. How do you play with those cards? How do you call there? How do you? And I've got them mumbling to themselves when they're leaving. And again, I'm the 4, right? I'm not playing for a living. I'm not playing for anything other than entertainment. And part of my entertainment is I like to see a guy go home mumbling himself, crying a little bit, and busting the pro nits that are just,
Right. You're going to get, when you're 200 bombing and you're playing super tight, you're going to get the guys who just don't care about money and have 4,000. They're like, I'll gamble with you. Sure. If that's the way you're going to make your money, maybe you are, but that's not my style. Like, that's not the way.
And again, it's not a bad way to get it in. I mean,
no. I'm not saying
you're probably always the favorite at that point, but when you lose, you lose big, right?
Right. And I don't want to spend my poker days. I don't want to go to the Horseshoe and fold. Like, I don't want to drive an hour to CCG and fold for 4 hours and play 6 hands. And maybe I win $300 and cool, I doubled up. And it's great. I can buy groceries this week and pay my phone bill. But like, it's not entertaining. And like, it still needs to be, even if you're a 10, like you still have to love the game.
Yeah.
That's
where it's difficult, right? It's the practice and the study and the hours that you have to put in, and to still be able to be done with all of those and say, you know what, that was super fun, is difficult. It's hard to do, and it's hard to balance those things. And everybody's going to go through a point in their life where they have to say, you know what, I need a break from this because I'm starting to not enjoy the game. And you always have to enjoy it because there's nothing worse in life than having a job, even if it's playing poker, that you can't stand. Well, what are you doing it for then? Try something different. Like if it's not fun anymore, and I get it, like everybody's got bills to pay, and at some point you can't just say, well, it's not fun, so I'm going to quit. But like, I mean, reevaluate at that point. Try to find a way that you can
do something. Yeah, do something different.
Make it a positive.
Like I went and I had a schedule, and I'd play Monday afternoons at the Horseshoe every Monday, no questions asked. Well, the Monday afternoon game at the Horseshoe for PLO is honestly garbage. Like, it's bad. It's tight guys that buy in for 200 and play with aces. It's small pots. It's nobody gambling. There's no fish. And I would just show up, and if the game was like that, I would literally just turn around and go home. I was like, I'm not going to sit in bad games because it's not fun. It's the same 12 guys, 11 of them I just can't stand.
Yep.
We're all losing to the rake. It's like, what am I doing here? And eventually it's like, I'm not coming Monday at 2 p.m. anymore. I'm coming Monday at 11 p.m. Let's try out that. And all of a sudden it's a completely different game. And, that's not really I would much rather wake up at whatever. Let's say I have a long week, CCG weekend, and I wake up at 11, drive to the Horseshoe after lunch at 2, play till 9, be home, watch some TV, go to sleep at 11 midnight. Like, that's my ideal schedule. That's the schedule I want to work on. But if the game sucks and I hate it, no longer am I going to do that. I'm going to fill out my Monday afternoon and go shopping and go to the gym and do what I have to do on Monday afternoon and go play Monday night at 11 till 4 a.m. because my hourly's better, the game's better, I'm going to have more fun,
and you enjoy it better.
And you enjoy it way better. I'm talking like, there was a point where I was, dude, Eric, I cannot play in these games anymore. Like, I don't want to play anymore. Like, it got that bad, and I'm winning. This is, I'm not even going on a downswing. This is me winning and just being like, dude, I cannot sit here with these. I can't sit here with these guys and make $600. And I know that might sound like stupid, and people are like, oh, if you can, I'll do anything for $600 for 4 hours.
Be careful what you say to that. Yeah.
Right. And I'm just like, I'm not doing it anymore. And I changed it up, and I miss the Horseshoe more than anything right now. I mean, I would love
more than me, Brandon.
Maybe as much as you. Like, I would go play in the 2 p.m. Monday game right now. That's how much I miss it.
You would kill for that shitty 2 p.m. Monday game right
now. Correct.
Well, that's gonna wrap us up. We're trying to keep these at about 40 minutes an episode, so we're rounding out about 38 minutes right now. Sweet. So, do you have any recap on just kind of the general bankroll management, downswings, and variance, and kind of how they all go together in a short?
I would say don't let downswings kill your confidence. Don't let them upend your game. Just ride through them, whether that be take a week break and start fresh on Monday, or say, screw it, I'm going to the casino tomorrow. I'm going to play good and win this back. And then variance is always going to happen. Do what you can to minimize your variance and let it ride out in the long run. Try to make it to 1 million hands, 5 million hands, 10 million hands. Because let me tell you, the Variance and Daniel Negreanu's life in game is way lower than it is in Ken's game because of just the sheer hands and let it play out longer. And then bankroll management, 30 buy-ins for a cash game, 100 buy-ins for a tournament. That'll keep you fully rolled. If you lose half of your money, go down in stakes. So really quickly, if you got $6,000 in a 1-2 game, you get down to 3,000, go down to 51, you're back at 30 buy-ins for 51. You lose half your 51, go down to 25.50, and you're still at 30 buy-ins. Stay at 30 buy-ins. Keep going down once you lose half, and then work your way up and down the bankrolls, up and down the stakes, and eventually, if you're a winning player and you stick to the bankroll, you won't go broke, and you'll go up to your desired stake of 2.5 or 5.10, and you can make a full-time living from
just keep leveling up. Yeah,
right. Keep leveling up until it's nosebleeds or you're comfortable. I have a bankroll to play higher, but I don't want to. I'm really happy where
more
I'm at.
comfortable. Yeah, I think that's always good. Have a good bankroll management, but also be comfortable at the stakes that you are playing in both what you're winning and losing, but also just the idea of playing, right? I mean, because like some people are like, oh, I'm playing 1-2 professionally. That's not a thing to be ashamed of. That just means you're comfortable there and you're a successful player. Then great, do it. It's a
you
good
can make
part-time job.
You can make $30-$40 an hour
right.
at 1-2 an hour if you're the best player. If you're a really
sometimes
good player
the worst players play 1-2.
Yep.
The better players are always moving up in stakes. The bad players move down in stakes.
So that's exactly
kind of
right.
like cleaning up a wiffle ball game. Now, granted, it's not like the Yankees are going to go to like a little league park and start kicking the crap out of little kids, but sometimes it makes you feel good. And if you can make a little money on the side, nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
All right, that's going to do it for episode 9, Bankroll Management, Downswings, and Variance, brought to you by Brandon. Yes. I didn't want to throw it out there just because we did get a lot of.
He just switched the subject.
What did you say?
Nothing. Keep going.
Oh, yeah. I got lost in my own radio voice. Guys, make sure, and gals, make sure that you follow us on Twitter if you're a Twitter personality. Right now, that is our only social media outreach, and it is at @the_overlay_pod. We have been slowly moving up on the Twitter feed. We've been getting some shout outs from some pretty awesome some people and getting some retweets going, so it's definitely moving along a lot, and we just got over 500 downloads inside of the first 30 days. I'm looking at it right now. We're at 516 downloads, and I think today is actually day 30. The first episode went up on March 30th, so we might have a couple more days. So that's incredible. I mean, it's really nice to know that people are listening and enjoying, and we very much appreciate you guys listening and enjoying us. So, Brandon, do you have anything to...
just wash your hands. Stay inside.
Wash your hands, stay inside, stay home, unless the Horseshoe opens up that Monday game, in which case get your ass to the Horseshoe because we need some money.
We do need money.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you subscribe and leave us a review wherever you are listening to this podcast. Thanks, everybody, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.